to start or scale your property development business to 8 figures and beyond, then you're in the right place. This is the Property Experts Podcast with Ben Richards and Jack Jiggins, two serial entrepreneurs bringing weekly insights from our award-winning businesses. In these podcasts, you'll learn how we found, funded and delivered over £80 million worth of property in the last 6 years, with templates you can use, deal analysis and deep dive discussions that will help you build your businesses successfully. We hope you'll enjoy.
Hello everyone, happy Friday.
Hello.
Yet again, Ben and I are on, hopefully sharing some nuggets on property, business, growth, hiring people, scaling a £30 million development pipeline. If you haven't joined us before, we're here every Friday. I think we're 3 years in now, which is crazy. And we try and give value to business entrepreneurs in property to help you not make the same mistakes and to grow and foster a strong, sturdy business, whatever sector that may be in, and maybe multiple businesses, which is what we do. We manage and have founded surveying businesses, architectural practices, development companies, and also lettings and management. Today's agenda is busy as ever. It's the 7th of August for our podcast listeners, and we're going to kick things off with trademarks. And Ben's going to go into detail about how you can oppose them, but also the importance of trademarks. We did a site viewing trip with all the team today, this week, and we're going to be going through each site, where we're at and what we've been keeping ourselves busy with. Share the knowledge. What is internal learning in the company and how we have a way of doing that for the interns that are with us this year. I'm going to be going into a bit of detail around the Wolf of Wall Street and phone pitch sales and the sort of basically the format that everyone should be using within reason. We're going to be sharing what our team strategy day is. We now do this twice a year to bring everyone on the same page and path so that everyone understands what everyone's up to. We're going to be sharing a slightly smaller investment opportunity that we're working on at the moment and basically reaching out to our network. The one thing that we ask you guys to do is not only share this with someone that might find value in the podcast, but also we've built all of our businesses off the back of key partnerships with investors. XP have something new to introduce, so stay around for that. And then last but not least, we're giving away, so it's competition time. And as always, questions get asked asked by you guys, answered by us during the session and also at any point. So if you hit us with a question, even in the following week, we'll come back to it in the next live. So make sure it's free. Ask those questions. We don't charge you.
I can't even remember what 0.7 is, what the something new is in XP. So I'm equally as excited about you as you to see what that's about.
You'll
so
remember
stay
it
tuned.
when the slide comes up, Ben.
Yeah, I'm sure I will.
So our goal as a development business is to deliver 1,000 homes in the UK to the value of about £1 billion. Big numbers there, but we're already making good progress. And we do this with collaborated investors. Some good shots there. One of those shots is about 10 years old, I think, the bottom right one.
Probably is. That would have been in, I think that was genuinely in the Alma in Wandsworth for one of Brendan Quinn's events. Long time ago.
Cool. And we will touch on this later in the investment slide, but we actually had an inquiry yesterday. So thank you for that inquirer about an investment in XP Surveys. We have multitude of people, suppliers, services, products that we use, tried and tested. We don't actually refer any businesses unless we believe there's value in that. And as always, the services offer referrals that you can benefit from and we benefit from. So if you want any referrals in anything, whether it's finance, suppliers, furniture, whatever it may be, we've got the recommendations of people that are tried and tested and used. And we also have a referral scheme in XP Surveys. So if you want to earn some fees by bringing us some surveys, you could do so yourself. Quite an easy win, that. Decent survey fee.
Cool.
Over to you.
Over to me. Sorry, I was just trying to sort my lighting out. I mentioned a couple of months ago that we've gone through a few trademark disputes over the last couple of months. I'm yet to hear back from the opposition in terms of my sort of cease and desist letter. So it's now had to go through the proper formal route. So we've explained before, but I'll go into it briefly again. But when you're starting a new business, you need to do your DD, do your research on not only kind of who's out there from a company's house perspective, because you could set up a company named anything, but if fundamentally there's somebody out there trading under that name, providing similar services, then you need to think about that and how that impacts your business going forward, the growth of that business, where you end up, where you're thinking about taking that business, and take all that into consideration. And the people that I'm sort of fighting against haven't done that. Ultimately they've tried to use use the Aura brand, a very, very, very similar mark, trademark, and it's not going to fly. Frustrating for me, because I now have to spend my headspace, time and money effectively kind of opposing something that's really stupid and will get thrown out. But fundamentally there is a process. They've done it. I'm now having to go through the formal process to get it kind of thrown out. But you register trademarks at the IPO, that's the Intellectual Property Office. It's very easy to do. You can register all sorts of things, marks, which are logos, text, which is just your words, the name that you want to trademark, and various other things. I'd highly recommend getting a specialist trademark lawyer on board to do that. I can make some recommendations if anyone's wanting to go down that route. But this is all stuff that I did 9 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever it is, and I've registered Aura under different things. We've registered XP Surveys, XP Property under various different things over the last couple of years as well, to go through that process. What I've received, which is this screenshot on the right hand side, is effectively from the IPO to say that somebody has registered a mark that is similar to mine under the list of goods and services shown on screen. So class 37 for property development services, and then class 42 interior design. So ultimately somebody is trying to use Aura and provide interior design services to property developers. And ultimately it's exactly what Aura Homes or Architecture and Interiors does. So we've had that trademark for many, many years. We've had the word Aura trademark for many, many years under those use classes. I'm now having to kind of formally oppose it. So just to quickly run you through the process, if somebody else does submit a trademark that is similar to yours, the IPO will notify you, tell you that there has been a registered mark associated with it, and then you have a set time frame to respond to that opposition. Generally, it's 2 months. So this was published on the 5th of July. I had until yesterday, which is the 5th of August, to respond to this mark and oppose it. Now, I've put two things on the screen. One is a TM7A, which is a notice of threatened opposition. That's effectively something you can serve very, very easily online. It's literally like a couple of forms online that you submit, and that basically gives you an extra month. So it allows you to spend a little bit longer kind of getting the legal input you need to actually figure out what you want to do in terms of opposition. So it gives you a little bit of extra time. It's free to do that. So if anyone's in this boat, just go and straight away fill out a TM7A form, and that effectively notifies the person that you will be reviewing whether you oppose the mark or not. The next step is filling out a TM7 form, which is the actual notice of opposition. So you've extended your time frame. You've now got to go back and actually fill out the long documents that say this is why you're opposing it. These are the original marks that you're opposing against. These are the lists of goods and services that you are saying that you already have trademarks against, and why you're opposing the new registered mark, and ultimately explaining your reasons for doing so. And it costs 125 quid if those marks are similar or the same as what you've already got registered. And you can go to lawyers for this, and it will cost you somewhere between like £1,000 and 1,500 quid. I mean, I think with Claude, with ChatGPT nowadays, ultimately, I just use Claude to help me fill out the form. I fed it all the information, all the history, gave it access to all of the trademarks that I have registered, and then ultimately it taught me through step by step all of the sections that I need to fill out, what I should say, draft me some of the copy to enter into that. I spoke to somebody that offers free legal advice, and even the solicitor on the other end of the phone basically said, we can charge you 1,200 quid, but this is something that you can realistically do yourself. She reviewed the information that I sent to her. She said that it's I can never say it's a slam dunk, but you've had these trademarks registered for such a long time, clearly in the same goods and services that this new registration is trying for. It's going to get thrown out, but you still need to go through the process, and this is the process you need to go through. So, I mean, I hope that nobody has these problems. If you're running businesses long enough, then you probably will come against this type of thing, and this is just another thing that you have to do as a business owner, another thing that takes up your headspace and is frustrating. But fundamentally, if you register trademarks, at some point there will be someone that tries to oppose it or register some marks under your name. So you just have to know what to do when that happens, not panic, follow the processes, and use ChatGPT and Claude to help you through it. Hopefully that's useful for some people.
Dog was barking. I had to go and check there wasn't any burglars.
Nice. I mean, I couldn't hear anything, to be fair.
So
cool.
We did a site visit day, didn't we? Wednesday.
We did. Yeah. Every month now we do a site visit trip around to various sites and check progress. It's a good opportunity for all of the team at different departments to feed into things. So our estate manager will come around, our project manager will come around, and it's a good opportunity for them to spot things, discuss things with our project managers, discuss things with the contractor, spot things you might not have otherwise seen. And if you're not doing this type of thing, I'd highly recommend it as a collective to go and visit your sites more regularly, to spot things before they become problems.
We also had a new artist, didn't we? Your eldest son.
Yeah, so if you're on video, that's my little ginger kid, who's 5 now. Very good at drawing for a young age. I will say, Jack drew the outline of St Andrew's Court for him, and he's coloured it in. But it looks really good. He came to us for a site day. I'm sure there are plenty of parents out there at the moment that have school-aged kids that are trying to find things for them to do in the summer holidays. This week was one of my days to just take him around site with us. And I mean, to be fair, it's nice for him to see. I've got videos and photos of him in St Andrew's Court when it was an office when we purchased it 3 years ago, running around and hiding in the cupboards and all this sort of stuff. And I like that. I want my kids to kind of see what I'm up to, and is this daddy's work, and asking questions about it. And he actually said the old maltings looked fabulous, even though it wasn't finished. It was good for him to come and see stuff. But just quickly running through the day. The old maltings is really cracking on and taking shape now. The townhouses are starting to see kind of stud work and partitioning and stuff go up, which is cool. The flats that can be finished are now at just snagging process. Utilities are going in as we speak, so things are shaping up. As is St Andrew's Court, the ground floor and first floor is very much just second fix and final kind of paintwork to do now. And we met our lender on site, who are UTB, United Trust Bank, on site to discuss kind of extensions to various loans, discuss kind of finishing timeframes, where we are with our facility. And we've got a really good relationship with UTB and the relationship managers, and they've been on site numerous times through the process. It's always nice to kind of show them around and show them progress. And as you can see in the top image on the right hand side, it's largely that sort of final fixing, window boards to go on, final socket plates to go in, carpets are down, LVT is down, kitchens are in. It's really, really taking shape, which I'm super happy about. One of the newer projects that we have going is the bank, and there's some deep dive discussions. If you go back into some of our previous recordings, we do a full-on how we sourced it, how we structured it, how we designed it, what we expect to see from the development, running through all the figures, the constraints, everything really, in a deep dive discussion as a live video. So I don't recall exactly which one it is, but we can find out. But take a look. Go and watch that if you want to find out more about this project. But this is the one on the bottom right, in the bottom middle. And really, really good to see this week that the roof structure is now almost complete. So steel frame went in a couple of weeks ago. The rafters and ridge beams and sort of timber walls have gone in. And then by the end of next week, we should have that roof battened and breather membrane and everything like that, so it's sort of semi watertight. Which is cool. Big milestone in that development. Getting anything kind of watertight and sort of structure up is obviously massive. So good to see that one coming along. At the front of the site, that's where we've got three-bed HMOs, and they are due for completion in the next 3 or 4 weeks as well. There's been a bit of a delay in getting an AOV, which is an automatic opening vent, fitted, which is a final piece of the puzzle for getting building control sign off. So that's going to delay things a little bit. But yeah, progress is going really well, and we hope to have those let out by the end of September, really. So that's 9 units adding to our HMO portfolio. I don't know how many units we've got for rental in Abingdon now, probably 30 plus, I guess, as XP, and you've got a good 100 with Central Suite. So yeah, probably one of the biggest landlords in Abingdon, but we like it as a location. We like the town, we like what's happening on around it, and we get good rents with good tenants that are
we're struggling to fill rooms now, though.
Maybe, yeah. Nobody else should go to Abingdon. It's rubbish. Cool. And then the top one in the middle is Colney Hatch Lane in Muswell Hill, which is our Maple Rise development. Those 2 ground floor flats with the patios have sold. Those are the 2 that clients buyers have moved into, and we've got 2 other sales under offer, which is awesome. So we're continuing the old sales process there, trying to get people through the door and get more offers over the line. Obviously, it's quite challenging at the moment, but we're doing a good job to at least get some of those shifted. These photos are fresh out of Dan's camera this morning. So we've got drone footage, professional shots from the front, professional shots from the rear. In fact, I probably should have added that as a separate slide because they do look really good in the sunshine. And now it's completely finished with the front railings and some landscaping and all this sort of stuff. So maybe I'll do that next week. But yeah, good site visit day. If you're not doing them in your business, then definitely think about it. Anything else you wanted to say about the site visits?
No, nothing in particular. Obviously, the value again is communication internally, communication externally. I think we had quite a meaningful conversation at the bank, sort of walking through the contractor that it's all well and good seeing loads of timber go up at the rear of the site, but we still need to box off and get things let at the front. So yeah, the sort of critical items that might get lost in emails or whatever it may be can be delivered face to face. And actually at the Maltings, one of our HMO contractors was there, so I actually caught up with him on 2 projects. So yeah, valuable all round, and there's a really good bakery in Thames, so we end up going in there around lunchtime.
There is. I mean, yeah, it's one of the main reasons I like going to.
Your mic's gone.
Oh shit!
You basically get this like batonette version of. It's like Friar Tuck's Bakery. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's insane. For like £4, you get basically a massive doorstop of a loaf filled with loads of stuffings. But anyway, yeah, good sharing knowledge.
Yeah, I've actually shared this on the channel before, but just in case people haven't been through and watched them, actually, before I do that, I was quickly going to share. I did a quick search on our YouTube channel when Ben was talking about deep dives on projects. If you go onto XP Property YouTube channel, if you then click the little search bar on our page and type in deep, it brings up all of our deep dives. So for an example, the bank is season 3, episode 18. We have the, what other ones are there? Tame, there's a deep dive, episode 30, series 1, episode 37. There's a deep dive on Longhambra, series 2, episode 35. And then so on and so forth. So if you just search deep dive, or actually any topic that you want to learn about, whether it's legals, processes, sales, whatever, use that search criteria on the channel. I might actually do a screen share on that next week, Ben. So Heather remind me. So sharing the knowledge. So we have 3 lovely interns working in our businesses this summer, helping with all manner of things, and they are theoretically learning about real estate in their university degrees, and they're now obviously putting that into practical practice in our businesses. So they get the theoretical knowledge in their modules, in their education, in their real estate degrees, but then they're coming into our business, helping us, but also learning about what this means in the real world. So SDK is actually something I stole from a previous company that I used to work for. And it's basically any win that you have or any knowledge sharing capabilities. You call it an STK. And the reason I know I've talked about this before on our channel is because I made a joke that it's not a sexually transmitted disease, and that video actually got quite a lot of real views. It is Share the Knowledge, which is just an abbreviation of STK. So what I do with all the interns is every Friday at midday, I'll message in the WhatsApp group going, guys, STK time, please share your knowledge of the week. And they share their one key nugget of what they learned that week. The beauty of it is it makes them think about the key things that they've been learning that week. So it's almost like replenishing their knowledge about certain gaps and areas of the business that they weren't aware of. It then pinpoints a pivotal thing that they've learned, and then they share it with the group. So the other interns can learn about, if one of them's, for example, more led down finance, they can learn about the letting side of things. So to give you an example, this was one of Ollie's, which was posted in. So one thing I learned, thanks to Rob, I think last week actually was fire assembly points in HMOs don't have a minimum distance. Instead, they simply just have to be far enough away. It's typically the height of the building, which then varies. So he's sharing that knowledge, and then that's shared across the group, which is a really key example of how we do that. So if you've got teams that need integrated learning, we talked last session about that we do AI masterclass in our businesses. That's shared learnings. What's the easy wins? What can people be doing? What can people share within the company? And then obviously later on today, we're going to be talking about our company reviews. So we do these now. We used to do them quarterly. We now do them 2 times a year, and running through everything and sharing the sort of growth and areas of business across the group is really, really key. So that's something that the interns love doing. And yeah, it'll be good if you could implement a similar process into your business for sure. In my old company, we actually did share the knowledge because we were all salespeople basically, but it was more focused on the wins. So for an example, a lead that you've been working on for 6 months, how did you ended up closing that, and sharing that knowledge of that win is another good example. And you can do it a manner of ways. You can do it with a WhatsApp group. In my old company, we actually did an email to all. So it went out to the whole business. And it's just sharing a win in the business that you've had, so you can get a little bit of a pat on the back, and hopefully someone can implement a similar process and have some wins as well.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, this is the sort of value that we like to share, not only within our teams, but with you guys. So that's what this podcast is about. And because of that, we would love for you to rate and review what we say, because we think we give lots of value. We know that most of you do get lots of value from this, but it's not being shared as much as it needs to be. And if you're not subscribed, click the button now. Leave us a comment. Like Jack says, we are here to answer your questions. So get them in. Anything that you're struggling with in business or in property, we are happy to help with. And just to let everyone know that if you are tuning in on YouTube via video, we also repurpose the whole podcast into an audio format and release that on a Monday at 5 a.m. across all of your usual podcast platforms like Spotify and Apple Music and all the other platforms, Castbox, etc. So if you do like tuning in to podcasts in your ears rather than visually looking at stuff, we are also on all of those platforms. But definitely the best way of engaging with this podcast is via video, because we do have lots of cool things to share. Videos, photos, and graphs, etc. So make sure you're also subscribed on YouTube to catch the video content. Cool. This is the big one. Phone sales pitch is.
Yes. So Heather's kindly pulled an image there of my face on Leonardo DiCaprio's body in the infamous Wolf of Wall Street, based around Jordan Belfort. Now, I know he's got a bad reputation, and I know he's a naughty little bugger, but he is dialed down when it comes to sales. I actually don't think there's many in the knowledge base of sales that are better, if I'm honest. I did a training session with all the interns this week on phone conversations and how there has to be an element of sales in any phone conversation to some degree. And the framework that is brought up actually in this particular scene, where Jordan Belfort is talking through his what does he call them? stallionites or something, through the process of how you agree a pitch and go around that sales call. There's a few things that has missed off it, I think, for the sort of enjoyment of watching on TV. And I went through all the interns of this and the process, because one of our interns is specifically making outbound calls to warm leads that are inquiries that have come through to our sales. So meta campaigns that we're running, the leads that come through. Now, the value of this sales training is I obviously want to make sure he's maximizing the most from every single phone call. It's all well and good telling an intern to bash through a list. When I used to work in sales, we would be targeted on time on the phone and dials. So an average day might be 100 dials and 4 hours on the phone. But there's so much to be said for the value and the quality that you can put into the call. And every phone call, I said to the interns, is it's your own training, trying new things, having new approaches. Some personalities prefer softer sales, some are quite bullish. Depending on what you're selling is very important, but I wanted to give this sort of overarching framework. I will also draw your attention to a YouTube video, which is a debate between Grant Cardone and Jordan Belfort. And Grant Cardone is extremely successful. Obviously, he's been probably a little bit more cleanly growing his empire. But I actually believe Jordan Belfort in that episode does absolutely run rings around him and shows the true acumen that he has with sales. So to set the scene, I was obviously with the interns walking them through the process. Now I said to the intern, what do you do when you ring that lead? So this is an inquiry that's come through our meta ad campaign. And quite rightly, as any sort of learning salesperson would be, one, they might not even know this is actually a particular sales call, but two, they make the inquiry, they're polite, they sort of, the intern will sort of say, well, I'll make sure that they begin to build that rapport and know, like, and trust me. I'll send the brochure and let them know to contact me if they've got any questions. Now, that's all well and good, but there's no influence there. As a salesperson, you're there to influence. You're there to try and get to the point where it's a yes or a no, and try and give your best self the best opportunity for it to be a yes. And there's certain ways that a phone call will be structured. So the start off for me is a hook and a very, very sharp intro. Some people do the hook and don't rely on a secondary intro going in, but I prefer to hook and sharp intro. So to give you an example of what that would be, ringing someone that's inquired on our inquiry list, I'd be like, hello, my name is Jack Jiggins from XP Property. I would say you've expressed interest in our amazing units as for your new home. I'm calling today to get you booked in for that viewing or an exclusive viewing. So that's a really, really short, succinct way of introducing. You wouldn't necessarily go, hi, I'm Jack, how are you? That flip flap is offering them an opportunity to try and drive away from the phone call, because you need to let them know what the phone call is about. That for me is key. So that hook tells them who you are, tells them what you need. They understand all of it. And when it's B2B sales, that can be really sharp. Because if someone calls me to sell me something, I don't want them to ask me how I am. I don't care about that. I don't care if they care. I just want to know what they're selling. Does it benefit me? Is it cheaper than what I've currently got? Is it better quality than what I've currently got? Or is it quicker than what I've currently got in that service realm? And if it's not any of those three, I'm not interested. So my goal as a B2B set, if I'm the customer, is to get them off the phone as quickly as possible if it's not relevant. So time is everything. This is B2C, so you may have to be a little bit softer. Business to consumer, homeowner, whatever it may be. It's a big decision for them, so they've got to trust you and really feel engaged with your conversation. I don't think many B2B, you need to massively be that engaged. I think it's more about selling the product, unless it's a relationship-driven or service-driven business. So that's the hook, the sharp intro. Practice it, write it down, reformat it, put it into AI and tell it to shorten it. Really make that as interesting, as clear and concise as possible. Some people then go on to say, have I caught you at a good time? I don't like doing that. I don't like giving them the opportunity to say, no, now is not a good time. They've picked up the phone, so it probably is a good time. And the reason I say this is because in B2C sales, you want to build rapport. And if you have caught them at a bad time, they might correlate that with you. So if you feel that they're rushed, panicking, you can hear something in the background, sometimes in a B2C sales, it might be worth securing that relationship by saying, have you got some time to walk through your inquiry? Always say yours. It's not you that's going to ram something down someone's throat. They've expressed an interest, and try and lean that on them. And I very, very, very rarely say it is a good time. I have had on some occasions where people pick up the phone quite abruptly. Their first sentence, word, whatever it may be, is very abrupt and a little bit angry. And I sometimes then actually switch to pitch immediately. And the reason I do that is because I think I'll lose them during the fact-finding process. Fact-finding is obviously the next step. So you sometimes have people pick up the phone and you do your hook and sharp intro, and then they go, "What do you want?" Or "Go on then," or basically really short and sharp, or "What is it going to cost me?" They're the sort of people that sometimes prefer a direct pitch, but it's very difficult to do that without the next stage, which is fact find. And I've written on the screen there, KIP, which is knowledge is power. The more questions you can ask, open questions to start off, the more information you have, the better your pitch is going to be. So what the urgent and important things that you need to do in that fact finding is understand what the key drivers, key motives, key concerns, key wants are for that person. And the reason that's important, because if I say we're selling the cheapest flats in Tame, but they're not price driven, but they're actually driven on quality or whatever it may be, we're actually counterintuitively selling the wrong thing to the right person. And all of this fact finding is selling the right thing, like selling the right factors. So the right USPs, the right considerations to their concerns. For an example, what's important to you for your next home? Good location, because I'm an elderly person and I need to have access to all the local amenities. I then pre-log that in the back of my mind, and I say, well, we've got lift access all the way up to the top floor. We've got masonette units with curbside access, and there isn't any flats that are closer to town than ours. So that is a really good way to acknowledge the fact find and then bring it into your pitch when you close. In this particular pitch, we're pitching and closing on a viewing. So what the intern was doing prior to this sales training is trying to actually send them a brochure, then go get in contact with them again to then pitch them a viewing. And now I personally feel like it's a waste of time and adding a path of more resistance. I want to get that, whatever I need to get closed on that call. If I've got them, they can have a look at the brochure in the week while they wait for their viewing time. So I actually want to close them on something on that call. So that'll be pitching a viewing. If you're actually trying to sell a product, then you obviously flip to pitch and close with that particular product. Next to the picture close, I put with him, which is what's in it for me. Always be thinking what's in it for that person on the other end of the phone. This is not about you or your product or how amazing you are. In most sales world, how confident or arrogant or good you are at pitching. It's all about them. You've got to really understand the clientele on the other end of the phone and give them on a plate what is in it for them. I was just about to say something else on that, but anyway, so that's really key part. You then always on sales calls agree the follow-up process. So agree what's going to happen next from your communication, because a lot of salespeople get a bad rap for always just like I have it. Some salespeople call me 3 times immediately after each other because they didn't get hold of me. And that is sometimes what you do need to get hold of people. And it's sometimes better to speak to them on the phone. I used to do it in sales. I used to know that I had clients that picked up on the 3rd time because they don't want me to ring them again. And then I've got them on the phone and I've actually turned that around to a positive, a constructive conversation. But you need them on the phone, right? But agreeing the follow-up, it sort of re-engages that agreement that they then agree that you're going to call them back. So when you do call them back 24 hours later to follow up with feedback on the brochure or, whatever it may be, they've actually agreed to that. So you're not out of the wrong. And it sometimes does get, it sort of counters that typical issue where they're like salespeople calling me again and again and again. And that is salespeople, it's all to do with the follow-up and consistency, and time kills deals. So it's all about getting that thing closed. You've got to do all of this while building rapport. which is really important. It's sometimes difficult to do when you've obviously got to get to the point of sales, but I would always try and build rapport. I would also try and stand out, have some sort of direct correlation. If you can hear a dog in the background, tell them you've got a dog and it's a weird breed. If you have a dog, obviously don't lie, but that's what I'm saying. Like, have some form of correlation so that they can remember you, and be available to stand out a little bit. You don't have to be a robot and have no character, charisma, or sort of engagement with them in that aspect. And then I can't remember what this is. Do what you. I know what this is.
Going to do.
Cliffhanger. Do what you say you're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of salespeople neglect the leads that they could sell to because they're too busy focusing on all the leads that they've got on their desk. If you say you're going to send something to someone, send it. If you say you're going to call back someone the next day, call them. There's a lot to be said about that confidence that they're building with you as a salesperson, that if you just say what you're going to do, that's typically enough to close a sale. If you say something and then you don't do it, it's really difficult to rebuild that trust and commitment from that particular buyer. So always do what you're going to, and if you don't, hold your hands up, say, I completely forgot, here it is, sorry it's late, I'll call you tomorrow, whatever it may be. Always agree to follow up. So that's just an MO on it. I mean, we could go into many more sales, like negotiations and how the pitch is structured and various things like that. But what I haven't said about the pitch pushback on the fact find is you want to get to a point where all of the fact finding happens, and you almost can turn around and say, okay, well, if I could tell you, I could give you that, and that, which is everything that you're looking for, if I've interpreted this right. And then they say yes. You want to provoke them to say yes is positivity, agreeing, and that is a really fundamental part of the psychology of buying. If you do get to, I've had salespeople do it to me, and I kind of sometimes just for a bit of fun and a bit of brain sort of exercise, if someone calls me and I think they're a really good salesman, I'll feed them some tackling issues that they've got to resolve, and I want to see how they handle it. So I actually do my own training with myself often about seeing how other people manage things. And then last but not least, that isn't on here, is make sure you take accurate notes and really dial down to have a pickup from where you left off. So if you have a CRM system, Google Drive link, or whatever it may be, so you can revisit that and have a really accurate view on everything that you fact found, everything that's important, and make sure that that pitch is as good as it can be.
Excellent. There you go. You are now a world-class salesman. Good stuff. I've literally just messaged some of our sales team to come on to watch this, because there's obviously a few golden nuggets in there that they can take away. Hopefully it is useful for you guys. Cool. Like Jack says, we do these strategy days every 6 months, effectively. We were doing them, I think, 3 times a year, and then ultimately it came around way too quickly. So every 6 months is a perfect kind of happy medium. But what these are about are bringing together all of the businesses. So Aura, XP Property, XP Surveys, Central Suite, and giving people the insight into what's going on across the wider businesses. There's always stuff that one business can learn from another. It's great for our surveyors, for example, to see the concept designs of a site that they surveyed 2 months ago. It helps, just gives that surveyor just a little bit more satisfaction, really, to see the outcome of really why they're doing what they're doing. And that shared knowledge, that shared expertise, that shared understanding is something that we want to have within the group of businesses that we all operate. So if you're not doing this type of thing, I really think it helps kind of build employee retention. It helps build, it helps give the team foresight and the bigger picture around what you're creating. And I think as a business owner, when I've worked for businesses in the past, that type of insight and the clarity around what you're doing it for, I think is a really big thing. Hence why we've been doing these now for probably 4 or 5 years. Obviously, everyone can't be in the room at the same time. Often we have Aura kind of Zoom calling in, and then the XP and XPS teams are in Henley. We hire out a room in a local pub, connect up to the TV, have some food, have some nibbles, all that sort of stuff, and people tune in to what we're talking about. A bit of a spoiler alert on the screen. I was thinking about this last night, and I was going through the slides for the XP property part and some of the XP surveys part. I actually think it would be really, really good for you guys to see an insight into what it looks like. Effectively going behind the scenes with Jack and I, we will present. We can't present all of the slides because there's some confidential stuff in there that you can't see. But as much as we can, next week we want to show you that. So what are we presenting to our team? How are we presenting it? What is going on in the businesses that we don't necessarily have time to go into on some of these podcasts, and I think we're really useful and really interesting for you guys to see. So if I'm completely wrong and I'm talking out my arse and it's not really at all what you want to see, let me know down below and we'll maybe rethink it. But if you think it's a good idea, again, drop us a comment down below, let us know. If there's anything specifically that you want to see about our business that you want us to lift the bonnet on and show you, drop us a comment down below and we can maybe throw that in. But I think next week, we will spend a good amount of time going through the strategy day slides, how and what we present to our team, and hopefully you find it interesting. Anything you wanted to touch on?
No, you covered it all.
Sweet.
One thing I would actually say, some of our listeners might actually be what James Sinclair calls a solo entrepreneur, and do a review day on your own. There's no reason you can't sit down with yourself, plan everything out, look at everything. I actually had a mentee who was a solopreneur, so an individual that's just the only one operational in the business, and maybe some third-party consultants that support that business. And one of the biggest game changers, and she's probably listening, in her business, is I forced her to do a team meeting once a week with herself and only herself. And she said that it completely changed how organized and operational she could resolve problems. And, that sometimes gets neglected. So, if you're a smaller team or not even a team existent at all, just still do it. I think it's hugely valuable.
Cool. 100K investment raise. Do you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So we, at the beginning of every episode, we actually share that and it's fundamental to our business that we it's enabled us to get to where we are. We've had some amazing relationships and partnerships and still going with investors, and that could be people that want to join venture. That could be people that don't have the time or the expertise. That might be people that want to learn as see how we acquire, see how we do it, whatever. And that is many ways that we've structured deals before. But what we actually have, we often get asked is, what's the sort of minimum size ticket that we do deals with? And also we have quite an informal way of sort of working, with investors. Typically it's people who have heard about us, a referral, and they reach out to us, and then what we do is just grab a coffee or a Zoom initially, make sure goals align, and we can work with people. But a question we often get asked is minimum size. Now, it all starts with people reaching out, because without that, we can't have a chat and see what investors are looking for. We've actually had feedback that a lot of investors learn quite a lot in the process of just that coffee alone, how we do it, how other market movers may do it, how it works, where the security falls, how we present the project, what our reporting process is like, etc. And realistically, we've done loans from £50,000 upwards, so there isn't a really low sort of barrier to that. And I would also say that we kind of always have various different things open, including, for an example, which is quite rare in our sort of, I suppose, roster of open investments, is not only the XP Surveys business investment for growth, but also we have a finished asset, which is actually a mixed use scheme, already completely finished. Our investor has basically proposed that they want to get out of that particular deal. They need the funds for other things. And we're now sort of basically replacing that investor. So that in that particular project, for an example, there isn't any planning or development risk. It's done. It's maintenance risk, but some of the leases are internal repairing, etc. So just to reach out to our network to say, let's have a conversation. We've built our business off partnering with investors. We've got some great reviews from our investors, which we can share. I actually recorded a video on site this week sharing some of those. And we'd love to hear from you. So if you're there thinking, I'm not sure if I've got enough or not sure how it works, we don't charge anything to have a chat with anyone. We've actually also had investors that come to us and say, how do you do it? How do you work? How does it operate? What security do you get? We give them all the answers of how we do things. And even if it's not for them, at least they're more knowledgeable about how it works in our world, investing with XP Property and various other businesses in the group. So definitely booking that conversation. And if you end up going, look, it's not for me, I'm going to stick to Bitcoin, cool. I don't mind. We're here to meet people, and that's how we've bought the sites that we have and built our investor database as it is. But I always find that we're always wanting to forever grow because timing, liquidity, various other factors, it's always good to have more relationships.
Nice. And we always have opportunities. So yeah, reach out. In terms of other opportunities, we're still filling our XP boardroom, the latest cohort. If you're interested in sort of being guided by Jack and I to grow and scale your property development business to 7 figures of revenue, if you're not quite there yet, we'd love to have you on board. This is a really good opportunity to have close-knit conversations for an afternoon every month, going through deep dive analysis of projects that you're actively looking at sort of the goals that you want to achieve, how to achieve them, us holding you accountable to some of those goals, but also the massive benefit of coming around our site tour days with us. So I mentioned we had our site tour day this week and we talked about it earlier and the benefits of doing it. You get to see all of that in person. So yeah, if that's of interest to you, drop a comment boardroom down below or DM one of us or email to get a full pack of information of what that's all about.
That's what
this was the new. I've been waiting for 45 minutes for this. Yeah, I forgot. So we've spoken a lot over the last couple of months around the sales process, and we've taken that sales process in-house. What we were finding is that we were sort of mixing all of that sales stuff in with our XP Property social media presence, which is quite convoluted. So you've got basically XP Property, which was doing investor outreach, education around the property process, site visits, behind the scenes construction conversations, thrown in with also a little bit of sales, together with some sales campaigns on Meta that were sort of driving to the XP Property page, which buyers don't necessarily want to see, or it's not really the right type of content for them to be viewing. So we've now set up a standalone channel on Instagram and Facebook. It's called XP New Homes, and this will be a dedicated page for sales. So on there you will find beautiful, video footage and photography of our finished projects, explanations around each project and what the USPs are and what people can buy a 1-bed flat for, a 2-bed flat for. Information that will be beneficial to buyers, like information on the lifetime ISA and what that involves for them and how that benefits them to make and save a deposit for buying their first time home. Opportunities and checklists for when you're downsizing, how to declutter before you move, like all these sorts of things will be brought to you over at the XP New Homes Instagram handle. So if you can go over there and follow us across there as well, you'll see a lot more different type of content in that channel than you will on our other ones, which is, XP Property is very much tailored to the investors, ultimately, people that want to work with us on a consultancy basis, providing value to other developers and other business owners. A lot of that stuff isn't relevant to the buyers of our homes, so this new channel will be dedicated to them. So yeah, head over, follow us, give us some likes, start that algorithm moving.
Whoa,
cool. Competition time. This is also something I wanted to throw in this week, because we know that we see you watching. We know how many of you kind of watch this every week. A lot of people send us private messages around kind of a few things that we talk about. We see the likes, we see the comments, but it's not enough. We want more. So if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, we want you to subscribe. If you're not following us on all of the relevant social media channels, we want you to follow us over there. And we're throwing a competition out there. So the opportunity is to effectively have a full a full 1 hour group Q&A session with us on any problems that you have within your business. Bring all of your problems, all of your specific dedicated queries. We're counselors for 1 week. We don't want to hear about your relationship with your wife. This is pure business. But there will be counselling for business and property development within this 1 hour Q&A session. And to get access to that, all we want you to do is subscribe and follow our social media channels. But the main thing that we want you to do is share one of our podcasts within a property WhatsApp group that you are part of, screenshot that post and send it to us, and you will get access to this Q&A session. Or share our podcast across your social media platforms and tag us with the tags on the screen, and again, that will get you access into this 1 hour Q&A session. So we will only open this for a couple of weeks, so make sure you get that tagging, get the sharing, send us the DMs, send us the proof. And we will, love to speak to you on a free 1 hour session dedicated to your problems.
That's us.
And on that Q&A, that's it for this week. Did you have any questions that have come in? I'm sorry. I mean, just spoiler alert, this week is not live. So we have pre-recorded this because we do have our strategy session tomorrow, and we have some drinks afterwards. So we've had to pre-record. But ultimately, if you've asked a question this week, we will absolutely get back to you next week and answer that question on the session next week. Anything else that you had come in, Jack?
No, I was just looking at last week's episode, no questions. So have a great weekend, everyone.
Sweet. Nice one.
Next week.
Have a good one. Cheers. Bye.
Bye.